Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I've learned as I've grown into the person that I am today. And I'm sitting outside because it is absolutely beautiful. The birds are chirping, and it is like 78 degrees today in Indianapolis. Tomorrow it is supposed to be in the 40s, so we're going to take like a 30-degree drop in the next 24 hours. So I thought I would sit outside today and visit some of my old friends, visit my old friend Melody Beatty. So I'm going to read from her books today. But I wanted to tell you guys something. First of all, I am currently reading the book Educated by Tara Westover, and my cousin Caroline suggested it to me. I recently read Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, and I loved it, and it became literally like my new favorite book of life. I mean, almost better than To Kill a Mockingbird. I loved it so much, and I thought it was so beautiful, and I thought the messages in it were incredible. And so she was telling me, she was like, because she reads a lot too, and she said, if you liked Where the Crawdads Sing, you'll love Educated by Tara Westover, which is an autobiography about how she grew up. And she grew up in a fundamental Mormon family. I think that's how she defines it, I'm not sure. And she grew up in the mountains of Idaho, and her family were survivalists, and she didn't go to school until she was, I think, 16 or 17, and then she was pretty much self-educated. And then she ended up going to Brigham Young and later Cambridge, and she's pretty much estranged from half of her family. So I happened to just get on YouTube today, and I came across this video of hers on there. It was with Oprah on the Super Soul Sundays, which I love those videos anyway. You guys know I love Oprah. And the video was called, so there's a whole interview over there that I will link below, and it's like an hour and, let's see, does it say on here how long it is? An hour and 4 minutes, and it's like her whole interview with Oprah. But the one that I watched was just 4 minutes and 34 seconds, and it was called You Can Love Someone and Still Choose to Say Goodbye. And I thought it was like such a powerful message, because I talk a lot about toxicity over here, and I talk a lot about, like, you know, family members that are toxic and having to set boundaries with toxic family members and letting go and all that kind of stuff. And you know, I always get questions from people, and they're like, well, how do you do that when it's like a family member of yours? Her interview, and I don't want to take away anything from her and her message. Boo and Tucker are in here, and they are absolutely being hilarious. They're like wrestling each other on the chair. But her message is just so profound in this video, and she goes in there and she talks about, you know, you can love someone, but it's okay to say goodbye, which was actually a message that I heard on Oprah probably 25 years ago from somebody different, and have had to practice with several friendships of mine throughout my life, where I've had to, you know, I haven't had the need in my life family-wise to do that, but I've had to let go of some friendships in my life that I felt were somewhat toxic and whatever through the course of my last 25 years of being sober. But the other thing she says in there that I thought was really profound was that you can, you know, love someone and you can miss them every single day of your life and feel like there was this need to have them in your life, but that doesn't mean that they have to be in your life. Just because you love them and just because you miss them doesn't mean that they're supposed to be in your life. They're not contributing positively to your life. And it really made me start thinking about things, you know, and the people in my life. I mean, I feel blessed today that I don't have a huge group of people, but the people that I have, I feel like it's a reciprocal love between us, and I feel very blessed about that. But I have had to set some boundaries in the last 20 plus years, you know, of people that weren't healthy to be in my life, and I'm sure that other people have had to do that with me at times where I wasn't probably healthy being in their life either, you know. And I can remember, before I got sober, I had a friend of mine, and I had a lot of friends that like would come and stay with me for a month or two or whatever, and she was one of them. She wasn't I have a friend that I've been talking about on my vlog lately because she recently reached out to me, and this is not her because she and I lived together for a long time. But I had another friend of mine that lived with me, and, you know, she said to me towards the end, she said, like, I can't sit here and continue to watch you just, like, you know, your life go down the drains. And she was like, the only thing I can do at this point is not be your friend anymore. She was like, that's the, you know, the only thing I can do to affect you in any kind of way. And at the time, I just was like, screw her, blah, 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 whatever. Flash forward like 10 years sober, and I reached out to her and I said, you know, I just want you to know in retrospect how much that meant to me. It didn't mean anything to me at the time, but in retrospect, she was the only friend that was willing to, like, reach out to my dad and say, hey, listen, like, Peter is really out of control, which she did. And I think she may have done that like a little bit later, but, you know, and really say to me to my face, like, hey, I'm worried about you enough that I can't be here and be part of this anymore. And I look at that and I think, you know, like it takes a lot to do that, especially with family members that we love and we care about. But I thought it was so profound. And, you know, I'm not a big biblical person, but she quoted from the Bible, and I wrote this down in my notes. I always write down things that I hear that really, like, profoundly affect me. And it was interesting because I had heard this before, but hearing it from her in the context that she wrote it was completely different. And I actually tweeted it out. And what I didn't tweet it out, but what I tweeted out was, do you ever hear something you've heard before, but from someone different and in a different context, it has such a profound effect? Yeah, that just happened to me. And the quote is from Hebrews 11:1, and I love this, and it is, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And I just loved that so much, the whole idea of like faith in a higher power or the world or the universe or whatever that's greater than us. And just, you know, the evidence is in the hoping for it as well, you know. And I just think faith is something that I've talked about a lot on this channel, and hearing that was just, I don't know, it was something that I really, really needed to hear today to get some hope, especially in these times that we're living right now. So I just wanted to share that with you. I will link those below. You should definitely check it out. You should definitely also check out the book, Educated, by Tara Westover. It's fantastic. Okay. Let's get into these books. I haven't read from Melody Beattie. It's April 8th in probably 6 months because I read so much of her last year. But I'm going to go in here today and I'm going to read first from The Language of Letting Go, which is the sister book to Codependent No More. April 8th. Oh, this is a good one for right now. Self-care. I don't precisely know what you need to do to take care of yourself, but I know you can figure it out. Beyond Codependency, which is another one of her books. Rest when you're tired. Take a drink of cold water when you're thirsty. Call a friend when you're lonely. Ask God to help you when you feel overwhelmed. Many of us have learned how to deprive and neglect ourselves. Many of us have learned to push ourselves hard when the problem is that we're already pushed too hard. Many of us are afraid the work won't get done if we rest when we're tired. The work will get done. It will be done better. It will be done better than work that emerges from tiredness of soul and spirit. Nurtured, nourished people who love themselves and care for themselves are the delight of the universe. They are well-timed, efficient, and divinely led. Today, I will practice loving self-care. I love that meditation so much, especially, I didn't realize it was so dark where I'm sitting, but I especially love that, you know, in what we're going through right now and the tough times that we're having. And, you know, I think that self-care is really important. I was actually talking to my cousin today and I was saying that, you know, like, I've been having like really anxiety-ridden dreams lately, really like vivid dreams. And my dreams are like, they're scary. I wouldn't say that they're nightmares, but I've been having like kind of really strange dreams. And she was saying to me that she had heard that, those birds are so pretty, aren't they? I just love to sit out here and just like listen to the birds and read. But she said that she had heard that when you have like a lot of underlying stress or anxiety, like it comes out in the form of like really vivid dreams. And I was like, yeah, that would make a lot of sense right now, because I think even though most days I feel calm and I feel centered, and I think one of the hard things about everything that's going on right now is that when you look outside and you look around, there's a bee. Okay. When you look around and you see the world, it doesn't really look a whole lot different to us. It's not like we can look outside and go, oh yeah, the world looks different, you know? It's only when we read the news and we read the articles and we see the numbers and things like that. And so I think that, you know, it's hard sometimes to believe that the world is any different. But I think that inside of me, like, I think I'm retaining some of that fear and anxiety. And I think I'm just going through the routine on a day-to-day basis. So I seem like, to myself, I ask myself, like, are you okay? Yeah, I feel okay. But the reality is that I think maybe I'm a little bit more anxious and fearful than I really have admitted to myself, you know? And, I mean, these are uncertain times. And I think the uncertainty is what's scariest the most, you know? And so anyway, I think that's a great meditation. And I think we have to really learn to take care of ourselves, you know? I think the next video that I make out here, I'm going to actually pose it the other way because the lighting is so bad. All right, and then the next book that I'm going to read from is Melody Beattie, author of the Language of Letting Go, Journey to the Heart, Daily Meditations on the Path to Freeing Your Soul. Which, like, my back 2 pages are gone because I've used it so much. Okay. April 8th. I love to just sit in silence, don't you? April 8th. Enjoy the adventure. It was a cold night in Sedona, Arizona. An unexpected snowstorm had passed through the usually warm city, dumping several inches of snow in a short time. You know what? This is so funny, but I totally remember reading this last year, I think. The electricity, or I've read it so many times that I just remember this one. The electricity was off. The cabin I was staying in was freezing. Great, I thought. I get to spend my last evening in Sedona fighting off hypothermia alone in the dark. I put on a heavy sweater, then wrapped myself in a blanket, trudged to a phone booth, and called a friend to complain. Change your perspective, he said. Pretend you're 4 years old, get your flashlight, then make a tent in your bed out of all the pillows and blankets you can find. Enjoy the adventure. At first I balked, then I decided to try this idea. I made the tent, bundled up. My complaints quickly turned to memories of what it was like to be a child, to play with life, to play with all the experiences life brings. Soon I fell asleep. When I woke in the morning, the heat was back on. The lights had returned, the snow had stopped falling. Capped in a frosty layer of white, the breathtaking city of rust iron mesas looked like a wonderland. I had learned another lesson, practical and simple. Change your perspective and enjoy the adventure. Let the child in you come out to play. I think it's such a great meditation, again, especially for what we're going through right now. You know, I think, you know, I have complained of being bored, and I've seen a lot of people online saying, like, I'm so bored, I'm so bored, I'm so bored, you know what I mean? And I get it, like, we're all bored, right? But, like, if you take away, like, the fear of financial insecurity, which I think most of us have right now, because that's just a given, we're all gonna have that, you know? I think if you take that away, and you put aside, if you can, you know, like, that and the fear of possible sickness for ourselves and for our friends and family, then you have to kind of like, okay, well, I feel blessed that I have a home right now, and I'm at home, and I can like watch Netflix shows, or I can read a book, or I can start a new craft, or I can do this, or I can do that, you know? And I was talking to my dad today, and he was like, yeah, I'm starting some new crafts, and I'm doing this. I'm like, my dad is starting crafts at 80, you know, like 79. And he was joking about what he was doing, but, you know, I think that's it. It's like, while we're here in this situation, I think like there are, you know, we could have no electricity, we could have no food, you know, and there's a lot of people that are really struggling with that right now. And so for those of us that aren't, it's about, you know, being grateful and feeling blessed about what we do have, and maybe trying to enjoy it as much as we can. So those are really good meditations, I think, for what's going on right now. And I love you guys, and I hope you're staying safe and healthy, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.